Well, welcome to the Hope Community Church vlog. My name is Matt. For those of you who don't know me, I lead a church in Wixon called Hope Community Church, and I'm joined today by my friend Mitesh. Mitesh, say hi.
Hello, hi guys.
Mitesh, I knew from when he used to live in Leicester. He now lives down in London. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, your family, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. My name's Mitesh. I am a doctor, so I specialize in psychiatry. So any doctors watching probably think I'm actually not a doctor, but that's okay. So I'm working in London for the last 2.5 years. So I'm just coming up to the end of a big part of my training. I'm due to move again, actually, to specialize in forensic psychiatry. I born in the UK. Grew up in Leicester. Spent most of my life there before going to uni in London, and I come from a Hindu background, so all my family are Hindu, and I grew up going to the temple and going to lots of different religious festivals as well. Yeah, that's my sort of background.
And how was that for you growing up in a Hindu background? Was it a big part of your kind of identity and who you viewed yourself as?
Yeah, I grew up in the Belgrave area in Leicester, so anyone in Leicester would know where that is. So it's a very big Indian, Asian population, big Hindu population. So I grew up with most of my friends being Hindu, or also Sikh and Muslim friends as well, and that was my predominant circle. So growing up and identifying as a Hindu was very much part and parcel of my life growing up.
Now you'd call yourself a Christian. So how did that happen from being a kind of a fairly happy Hindu to being interested in Christianity? What happened there?
Mm. So yeah, big change looking back. So I went off to university, and I've always been someone who came from obviously very interested in science and wanting to know how things work, what are the reasons behind it. And I remember as a teenager especially asking quite questions about what we would do, for example, in the temple, or why a certain religious festival was celebrated. And a lot of the kind of answers I was getting, I really wasn't happy with it. It didn't make sense to me, and I struggled a lot with that. And I went off to university just very open to different things, met a lot of different people. And a big change was I was in a relationship in university. So I had a girlfriend, and her mum was a Christian, quite a committed Christian. And a couple of times, my girlfriend and she would attend church, and I just sort of popped along. I was just sort of curious. Didn't have much to do on a Sunday, so I thought, okay, let's just go. So it was a small church linked to university campus, and yeah, it really sort of, my idea of church just got blown out of the water. It was quite a modern church, it had a band, and I was just really shocked that is what church was like. I think what happened was I met quite a few of the people there, and initially there was something different about them. There was something, and I think looking back, there was a real sense of community and a real kind of love for each other, and I made some good friends actually through that church. And I actually just started coming really regularly. So I was sort of, from being just an occasional, just coming every few months, I started coming regularly to church. And it was a good 2-year period where I was just going to church, and it was a church where I just thought I made friends, but I found out about Jesus. Really, um, I went on a equivalent of like an alpha course and just sort of asked questions, and I made friends with a lot of the people who are running that course, and so I was really open to just asking questions, and being really open about questions I had about the Bible, about Jesus, all the things I read in the Bible, but also heard in the sermon. So I'd really picked up a lot of knowledge over those 2 years. I think the really big turning point came when I started just reading the Bible for myself, and I just found that I was having questions, and it was like the same questions the disciples had, and I was getting the answers to the questions I was having as I was reading. I always said to myself, I'll come to church, I'll find out about Jesus, but I'm not going to make that commitment. Why would I want to put all my eggs in one basket? Why would I want to, switch allegiance or change my religion, or convert? And I got to a point where I read, and it was something that was really tugging and I was struggling with. And I got to a point where I knew so much about the Bible, about the gospel, about Jesus, and, who he said he was and why he'd come, why he died. And I got to a point where I really couldn't sit on the fence with this information. I got to a point where if I really believed and I really understood, and this message of the gospel and who Jesus was, I really couldn't sit on the fence. I had to make a decision. And it was one service where I decided that I wanted to. I believed in Jesus, why he came, why he died, and I wanted to put my faith in him, and decided then that I wanted to be a Christian and follow Jesus. And it was a big deal at the time. People knew me for 2 years, so they knew the journey I'd sort of been on. So that was quite an emotional day.
Yeah, and as you said, it is a big deal. I mean, there's a whole sense of identity that's different there. It must have been a big deal for your family as well.
Yeah. So after that service, and I'd come back home, I was on a bit of a high, and then I realised, well, I have to tell people about this decision I've made. So I had to pluck up a lot of courage to tell my mum. And it was one of the weekends I'd gone back home, and I told my mum that she knew I was going to church occasionally, but I don't think she really knew sort of the journey I was sort of going on. So I think it did come as a bit of a shock to her that I said that I want to, I've become a Christian, and I believe in who, and I want to follow Jesus. And I think that came as a big shock to her. I think that she felt that I'd maybe sort of been led astray, gone astray as well, sort of lost my roots. And part of that was maybe going away for university or being in a relationship as well. So that was really hard. But I think what happened was over time she realized that even that relationship that was ended, I was still going to church, I was still a Christian, and over time she realized that actually this is something which isn't a fad and it's not going away, and I really do believe in what I'm saying. So, and I think that really changed, and she slowly began to realize this was something more than just a phase.
And I mean, that was a number of years ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you fast forward to kind of now, what difference would you say Jesus makes to your life now? Like, who is Jesus to you now?
Yeah, it's my life is at university. My priorities were about was about me bettering myself, having an education, working, you know, wanting to be successful, wanting to have lots of, and it was all about me. And I think I realized that um, the message of the gospel and about Jesus, and he came, he died for me. He will Believing in him gives me eternal life and salvation, and my priorities are switched to follow Jesus. I'm not king of my life, which I thought I was, and it's about trying to be led by him, and that's hard, and it's struggle, and I don't have all the answers in any way, but I know this truth, and it's about wanting to grow and try and follow Jesus. Um, and yeah, keep messing up days which aren't really good, but I know where I'm going, and it's being part of church and a community and wanting to grow and mature in my faith is something I want to keep doing.
Thank you so much, Mitesh. I think before we kind of finish, I think it'd be really helpful to ask if there are people who are watching this who are in a similar situation to where you were, and maybe from a different religious background, but are intrigued by Christianity or looking into Christianity. What advice would you have for them?
What I would say is just be open and be really honest, and be and find people you're able to just ask questions. And I know in my church, and I'm sure in lots of churches in Leicester, and that there are people who would be so willing to just have discussions and go on that journey of just finding out about Jesus. And I think just reading the Gospels. I think I started in Mark, and just reading it for yourself if you can. And yeah, I think that was a big thing for me. And just explore and be open to finding out who Jesus is.
Mitesh, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this, you can find out more by subscribing to our YouTube channel, which is Hope Community Church Wixon. Just search it on YouTube. You can find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can get in touch with us if you want to know more, and we'd love to point you in the right direction. Mitesh, thank you so much for joining us. Do say goodbye to folk.
Take care.
And we'll see you guys soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.